In a hospital where status meant everything, Sarah, the quiet nurse, was dismissed as just a relic. When a cocky surgeon humiliated her, he had no idea she had saved lives in places he couldn't even imagine. But when his new methods failed, it was Sarah who stepped in and did what he couldn't, saving a life and shocking everyone in the room. The truth about her past is about to unravel, and the consequences for those who underestimated her will be explosive. But let's start from the beginning. Chicago, a prestigious private hospital. The gleaming corporate offices and the noisy corridors hum with activity, but amidst the frenzy, there is Sarah. A senior nurse with 15 years of experience, Sarah moves with quiet grace, never drawing attention to herself. She's not one for the limelight, no flashy uniforms, no boastful remarks. In fact, you might not even notice her in a crowded room. But there's a quiet strength in her presence. Sarah isn't just another nurse. Her hands have saved countless lives, her calm demeanor has kept chaos at bay, and her experience is unmatched. Yet her colleagues dismiss her as just a nurse. How many of us have been there? Day in and day out, silently shouldering responsibilities that others are too eager to avoid, only to be overlooked and undermined by the very people you're trying to help. It's a painful reality, and for Sarah, it's one she's grown all too familiar with. While her colleagues are busy playing office politics, Sarah does what she's always done. She cares. But lately, the mockery has grown louder. Stuck in the past, they say. Too old-fashioned, they mutter behind her back. Instead of appreciating her vast knowledge, they ridicule her methods, labeling them outdated. And then there's Michael Thompson, the head physician. He's the type of man who believes that the world spins around him, an arrogant corporate figure whose experience is measured not in years, but in connections and titles.
Recently, Michael appointed James Henderson, a young and ambitious specialist, as the hospital's new innovative force. He promises to modernize everything, to bring in the future of medicine. The problem? James doesn't know what he's talking about. He walks around with his glossy new degree and his shiny smile, thinking that his youthful energy and trendy ideas give him the right to dismiss those who've actually worked in the field for decades. Why bother with these old methods when we have technology? James says, as if the lives of patients could be measured by the latest gadget or app. But what he doesn't realize is that Sarah's experience can't be replaced by flash equipment or the latest trend. She knows how to read the signs that others miss, how to stay calm when everything else is falling apart. But instead of being valued for this, she's treated like an outsider, a relic of a time gone by. And yet, in a world that's more focused on status than substance, Sarah remains the quiet professional, always in the background, doing her job without complaint. But that doesn't mean she's blind to the way things are shifting around her. She sees the way James walks through the halls, full of confidence, full of ideas. And she can't help but wonder, how long will it be before his overconfidence starts to put patients in danger? How long before the hospital, with its shiny new technologies and trendy ideas, loses sight of what really matters? Sarah's frustration builds slowly. She's the calm in the storm, the one who keeps the chaos at bay. But every day, she faces more subtle slights, more microaggressions. Her colleagues roll their eyes when she shares her opinion, laugh when she suggests an alternative approach, and pat themselves on the back for adopting the new way without ever truly understanding the consequences. And through it all, Sarah remains silent, focused on what matters, her patients.
But how long can someone who has given everything to her craft stay quiet, while those who know nothing about it come in and try to take it all away? How long can she continue to endure being dismissed as just a nurse, when her expertise could save lives? In the back of her mind,
Sarah knows that the pressure is building. The world around her is changing, and soon, the truth will collide with the arrogance of those who think they know better. It's a quiet storm, one that has been brewing for years, and it's only a matter of time before something gives. When it does, the world will finally understand the value of the quiet professional who's been overlooked for far too long. A new wave is sweeping through the hospital, a movement all about embracing the latest technologies and theories. The old ways, methods honed by experience, and the quiet persistence of people like Sarah are dismissed in favor of shiny gadgets and cutting-edge concepts. Every decision, every protocol is now based on modern approaches. The old guard, represented by Sarah, is left on the sidelines, watching as a new generation of professionals, led by James Henderson, takes control. James is the embodiment of the hospital's new direction. He's young, energetic, and overflowing with trendy ideas. His title, the innovative specialist, says it all. But there's something about his approach that rubs Sarah the wrong way. It's not that she's against change, far from it. But there's a lack of respect for the people who've been doing this work for years, and more importantly, a lack of understanding about what actually works when lives are on the line. James doesn't care about the subtleties of the job, about the way experience allows someone to intuitively recognize what's wrong even before a machine can detect it. He doesn't see value in the old methods, the ones that Sarah has perfected over a decade and a half of hard work.
No, to him, those methods are outdated. To him, Sarah's experience doesn't matter as much as the shiny new technologies and flashy jargon he's now pushing. And so, he publicly criticizes her. It happens during a meeting with the rest of the medical team. Sarah is presenting a patient's case, walking them through her thoughts on treatment. James interrupts her, dismissing her ideas with a scoff, and says, "We are not in the past anymore, Sarah. You need to understand that these methods are outdated. The future of medicine is in technology." His tone isn't just dismissive, it's belittling. He speaks as if he's the only one who understands what's really important. He's just a couple of years out of medical school, and yet here he is, telling someone with 15 years of experience that she doesn't know what she's doing. The rest of the room goes quiet. Some of the younger nurses and doctors look at each other uncomfortably, unsure whether to speak up. But it's clear that James is in charge now. He's the one calling the shots. "Just the nurse," he mutters under his breath as the meeting wraps up. And though the words are soft, they carry a heavy weight. The others start whispering. "Sarah's methods are so outdated. Why doesn't she just adapt?" The murmurs spread like wildfire through the halls, and Sarah can't help but feel the sting. What frustrates her more is how easily they all fall in line. It's as though the title innovative automatically makes James an expert, no matter how little is actually done. He doesn't know the first thing about the patients she cares for, or the way the world of medicine truly works. He only knows what's on trend. And now, she's being treated like a relic of the past. As the days pass, Sarah notices her role becoming more and more diminished. Her once valuable insights are now met with indifference, and she finds herself being handed tasks that don't require much skill, just busy work. James, despite his inexperience, gets all the important cases. He's handed the most complicated patients, the most challenging surgeries, all because he's selling the idea of change so well. The irony is not lost on Sarah. The very people who should be learning from her are now the ones teaching her how to evolve. Sarah does her best to keep her head down. She's a professional after all,
And she knows that the work she does, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant the task, still matters. But inside, it's hard to ignore the growing frustration. How can she, with all her years of experience, be pushed aside for someone with such little understanding of the job? How could James, with his flashy degree and empty promises, have so easily taken her place? It's not about being right, though. It's not even about winning an argument. Sarah knows that the patients are the ones who suffer in all of this. The real issue is that James's obsession with modernization is leading them down a dangerous path. There are shortcuts being taken. There are cracks in the foundation of this new approach. And she's terrified that one day someone is going to get hurt because of it. Sarah decides to stay quiet for now. The storm inside her is building, but it's not ready to break yet. She knows that speaking up might cost her everything. But she also knows that if she doesn't speak up, it might cost someone else their life. In a way, it's like watching a train coming down the tracks, knowing it's heading for disaster, but unable to stop it. Every day, Sarah holds her breath, wondering when the breaking point will come. And then, when it does, she won't just be able to stand back and watch. She'll be forced to act.
How long will Sarah be able to stand idly by while the hospital falls further into this trap of ego and arrogance? How much longer can she endure the crushing weight of being treated as just a nurse, when she knows she's so much more? The answer is coming, and it's not one that James or anyone else will expect. The tension at the hospital is escalating. Sarah keeps her head down, diligently carrying out her duties, while silently feeling the weight of the changes happening around her. She continues to follow her old methods, the ones that have always worked, but it's becoming increasingly clear that her expertise is being ignored. The voices of her colleagues, led by James, have grown louder, dismissing her approach as outdated and irrelevant. Every time she walks through the halls, she hears whispers, "It's time for Sarah to retire," or "She's holding us back with her old-fashioned methods." The younger doctors, eager to impress James and climb the corporate ladder, start avoiding her, refusing to collaborate or even acknowledge her presence. The isolation is palpable. Despite Sarah's efforts to remain professional, the distance between her and the rest of the medical staff continues to widen. It stings to be treated as invisible, to be looked past when you've dedicated your life to your craft. And yet, Sarah doesn't react. She's not the type to make a scene. Instead, she focuses on her work, hoping that the value of her experience will speak for itself. But things are getting worse. James, in his relentless push for change, begins to exert pressure on her. He starts assigning her only menial tasks, administrative work that no one else wants to do, as if she's no longer capable of performing the high-level tasks she used to handle with ease. When she tries to contribute to important discussions, she's brushed aside, her opinions dismissed with a wave of a hand. It's as if her years of expertise don't matter anymore. Then, the ultimatum comes.
Michael Thompson, the hospital's head physician and a staunch supporter of James, pulls Sarah aside one day. His eyes are cold, his tone authoritative. "Sarah, I need you to help James with the new patient treatment protocol. It's essential that you follow through. If you don't, I'm afraid we'll have to discuss your future here." Sarah's heart sinks. She knows that what he's asking her to do goes against everything she believes in. The new protocol is based on the same technology and methods that James has been pushing. Methods that Sarah has serious doubts about. But if she refuses, if she stands her ground, the consequences could be severe. The threat of losing her job hangs in the air, heavy and undeniable. The emotions are overwhelming. Sarah knows she can't stay silent forever. but every word of resistance feels like a betrayal of everything she's worked for. Her integrity, her years of hard-earned knowledge, and the lives she's saved. Are they all supposed to be swept aside for the sake of innovation? It's not about refusing to change. It's about refusing to be forced into something that could endanger her patients. As the day progresses, Sarah struggles to keep her composure. She can feel the eyes of the hospital on her, sensing the shift in power. James, with his polished persona and arrogant confidence, stands just a few feet away, oblivious to the storm inside her. He approaches her casually, with that air of superiority. "I think you'll see, Sarah. The future is here. The sooner you accept it, the better." Her hands tremble slightly as she holds back the urge to snap. What does he know about her life? About the blood, sweat, and tears she's poured into her work? To him, she's just a cog in the machine, easily replaced by someone who is willing to follow the trend. But to Sarah, medicine isn't about trends. It's about the patient in front of you, the lives that depend on your decisions.
She nods, forcing a smile, hiding the storm of emotions behind the carefully constructed facade.
"I'll think about it," she says, her voice steady despite the chaos inside her. Inside, she's seething. How could Michael do this? How could he turn his back on her years of service just for the sake of change? It's not just the job that's at stake, it's her dignity, her sense of purpose. And yet, she knows there's no easy way out of this. But even as the pressure mounts, something deep inside Sarah refuses to break. She's not going to just roll over. She's not going to let them erase everything she's worked for. She leaves the office, her mind racing. As she walks down the sterile hallways, the weight of the decision presses on her shoulders. She knows she can't keep ignoring this. At some point, the truth will come out and she'll have to choose. To stay silent and accept the erosion of her values, or to stand up and fight for what's right, no matter the cost. Every step she takes feels heavier than the last, and with each passing moment, the conflict inside her intensifies. Sarah knows that the battle ahead will be hard, possibly the hardest thing she's ever faced. But for the first time in a long while, she feels a spark of something else: determination. She's not ready to give up, not yet. The hospital, once a place of order and precision, now feels like a pressure cooker about to explode. The day starts like any other, but the calm quickly shatters when a new patient is rushed in, severe symptoms, confusion, and rapid deterioration. The diagnosis is a rare and complex condition that the hospital hasn't dealt with in years. The stakes are high, the patient is in critical condition, and the team must act quickly. James, ever eager to implement his new methodologies, insists on using the latest devices and protocols that he's been championing. "We've got the technology now," he declares confidently. "This is the future. These machines will help us get ahead of this." His voice is firm, almost arrogant. But to Sarah, there's a sinking feeling in her stomach as she watches him prepare to make decisions that feel wrong. The devices James insists on using are touted as the most advanced. But as the team starts their work, things begin to go awry. The machines beep erratically, their readings increasingly erratic. A sense of unease fills the room as the equipment, designed to save lives, seems to be making things worse. The team looks to James for answers, but instead of acknowledging the flaws in his approach, he pushes forward, more determined than ever. "I don't care what the numbers say," James says, his voice edged with panic. "This is the way. Trust the process." Sarah watches as the situation spins further out of control. She's been here before, seen patients slip away when critical errors were made. She knows the signs of impending disaster, and it's clear that James's decisions aren't just flawed, they're dangerous. The machines, once thought to be the solution, are malfunctioning, and time is running out. The other doctors, nervous but trusting James's leadership, continue to follow his instructions. But Sarah, seeing the warning signs, steps forward. "We need to recheck the diagnostics. These readings are off," she says, her voice steady but filled with urgency. James scoffs, brushing her off with a quick, dismissive gesture. "Sarah, I've got this. We've trained for this. These machines are the future of medicine. We can't go backward now." His words are meant to silence her, but they do nothing to quell the storm inside her. She knows this isn't about progress, it's about pride, and the lives of the patients are being gambled in the name of ego. The room becomes tense, the air thick with anxiety. The machines continue to malfunction, and the patient's condition worsens with every passing second. It's a race against time, but James refuses to acknowledge the danger.
He's trapped in his belief that his new approach is the only answer. And despite the mounting evidence that the system is failing, he refuses to let go of his methods.
Sarah stands frozen, her mind racing. She's never seen anything like this before. The sheer stubbornness of someone so unwilling to admit their mistake. The patient's vitals are plummeting. The heart rate monitor starts to flash red. A cold sweat breaks out on Sarah's brow. If they don't act now, they could lose the patient. Without another word, Sarah steps up, gently pushing James aside. She can feel the weight of the moment. This isn't just about doing the right thing, it's about saving a life, and at this point, it's her duty to do whatever it takes. She begins manually adjusting the equipment, bypassing the malfunctioning systems with her practiced hands. The team watches, unsure of what's happening, but unable to deny the urgency in her actions. Seconds feel like hours. The machines are still sputtering, but Sarah's hands move with the precision of someone who's seen it all before. She doesn't look to James for approval. She doesn't need his permission. She's already decided. This patient's life is more important than his pride. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, the readings stabilize. The patient's heart rate steadies, the oxygen levels return to normal. The room breathes a collective sigh of relief. But James, though relieved, still looks unsettled. His eyes flicker to Sarah, then to the machines, unable to fully accept what just happened. For a moment, the room is silent. Everyone knows what just transpired, and though they don't say it aloud, the weight of Sarah's actions speaks volumes. She saved that patient, not the machines, not the protocol, but her experience, her calm, and her understanding of the human body. As the team begins to gather their things, Sarah stands back, her hands still steady despite the rush of adrenaline. She feels the eyes of her colleagues on her, a mix of awe and disbelief. James, ever the one to keep up appearances, finally clears his throat. "Well, good job, Sarah," he mutters, his voice tight, clearly shaken by the turn of events. But Sarah doesn't let it go to her head. She knows this isn't about praise, it's about doing what needs to be done when the chips are down. And today, despite James's insistence on his methods, it was her expertise, her quiet professionalism, that made the difference. The room quiets, and as Sarah watches the team begin to disperse, she feels a flicker of something deep within: pride. She didn't just save a patient today. She proved that, in a world of flashy new trends, the old ways still have a place. And that, sometimes, it's the quiet ones who know best. But deep down, she knows this is only the beginning. James won't stop pushing his methods, and sooner or later, the hospital will have to choose. Will they trust the new, or will they recognize the value of experience? Sarah isn't sure what the answer will be, but she's prepared to stand her ground. For now, though, the patient is safe, and that's what matters most. The hospital is on edge. Tensions have been rising for days, but now it's reached the boiling point. The patient, already in critical condition, begins deteriorating rapidly. Her vitals are plummeting, and her breathing becomes labored. The monitors are flashing warnings. The team is scrambling, but nothing is working. The new equipment, so highly praised by James, is malfunctioning, and every attempt to stabilize her only makes things worse. The sound of the machines beeping erratically fills the room, an incessant reminder that the situation is spiraling out of control. James, visibly shaken but trying to maintain control, keeps barking orders, insisting that the innovative methods are the solution. "We've got the technology," he says, more to himself than anyone else. But it's clear to everyone in the room that the more he tries to make things work, the worse the situation becomes. His eyes dart from the machines to the team, but there's no sense of clarity in his actions, just a growing panic masked by misplaced confidence. The rest of the team looks on, uncertain, their faces a mixture of fear and confusion. They want to trust James. They've been told his methods are the future. But now, as the patient's life slips away, that trust begins to falter. Sarah, watching this unfold, feels something shift inside her. She can't just stand by any longer. Without a word, she steps forward. The room goes silent, the tension palpable. She's seen this before, too many times, and the answer is simple: experience. The machines might fail, but the fundamentals, those haven't changed. She steps around James, whose back is still turned to her, too caught up in the flashing lights and erratic beeping to notice. In a fluid motion, she begins to make adjustments to the equipment, bypassing the failed systems and returning to what she knows works. Every movement is precise, controlled. She's not just doing her job, she's saving a life. The team watches in stunned silence. They're not sure what to expect, but Sarah's actions are so calm, so measured, that it becomes impossible to ignore the authority she carries. Her hands move quickly, but with the kind of confidence that only comes with years of experience. There's no panic in her, no hesitation. She's been here before, in the trenches, and knows what needs to be done. One by one, the vital signs stabilize. The heart rate, once erratic, starts to smooth out. The oxygen levels rise to normal. The room collectively exhales a sigh of relief, but it's not over yet. There's still a long way to go before the patient is truly safe, but Sarah's quick thinking has given them a fighting chance. James, standing nearby, is still reeling from the turn of events. His face is tight, his mind racing, unwilling to admit that Sarah's methods, her old-fashioned tried-and-true methods, are what saved the patient. Instead, he's grasping for something to hold on to validate his approach. This doesn't mean the system's not working, he mutters under his breath. We just need more time to adjust the settings. But his words fall flat. The rest of the team remains silent, too aware of what just happened to argue. James's confidence is cracking, and it's not just his methods that are on trial. It's his entire approach, his blind faith in the future of medicine, at the expense of the experience and wisdom that have always been the backbone of their work. Sarah, however, doesn't look for validation. She's already moving forward, checking the patient's progress, ensuring the stability she's fought so hard to secure. She doesn't need applause. The satisfaction of knowing she made the right choice is enough. Her focus is entirely on the patient now. Her heart is steady, her hands steady. It's like nothing has changed, even though everything has. The room is still, the tension broken, but the shift in dynamics is undeniable. Sarah, once just the nurse, is now the one everyone is looking to for answers. The respect she's long deserved is starting to materialize. Her colleagues, who had dismissed her earlier, are now standing quietly in her shadow. They've seen the difference. They've felt it in the way the patient's condition turned around. James stands there, his jaw tight, his frustration palpable. He hasn't given up on his ideas yet, but he knows the truth deep down. He can't argue with results, and Sarah's results are undeniable. But as the patient's vitals continue to stabilize, it becomes clear that James won't back down easily. He's still clinging to his beliefs, even if it means ignoring the evidence before him. It's his pride, his ego. He's too invested in proving himself right.
But in this moment, Sarah doesn't need to engage. Her actions speak louder than any words could.
As she continues to work, the room begins to shift. Her colleagues, who once doubted her, are starting to recognize her for what she truly is: a true professional, a hero in the shadows. She's the one who kept it together when everything fell apart. And even though James refuses to admit it, the team knows who saved that patient today. Sarah doesn't need their approval. She doesn't need James to acknowledge her. What matters is that she did the right thing. What matters is that she saved a life. And in that moment, with the patient on demand and the team slowly processing what had just happened, it's clear. Sarah's quiet heroism has made all the difference. The hospital has never been this tense. The air is thick with anxiety as the situation begins to deteriorate rapidly. The patient's condition has worsened. What was once a glimmer of hope has now become a nightmare. The state-of-the-art equipment that James insisted on using, the one he promised would be the breakthrough the hospital needed, is now failing. The monitors begin to glitch, flashing warning signs and spitting out incomprehensible data. The once reliable systems are malfunctioning in real time, and no one can understand why. It doesn't take long before the entire hospital begins to feel the weight of the crisis. The sterile, white walls of the emergency room seem to close in. The doctors and nurses move with urgency, but even their quick reflexes can't stop the cascade of errors that follows. The room is filled with the sounds of frantic footsteps, the harsh beeping of machines, and the hushed voices of medical staff trying to understand what's gone wrong. James is at the center of it all, trying to maintain control, but his confidence is cracking. "This is just a glitch. It's nothing," he says, his voice slightly trembling. But it's not nothing. The data is unmistakable. The systems designed to save lives are now contributing to the downfall of the patient. The team is looking to James for direction, but as the situation spirals, it becomes clear that his reliance on technology, on untested methods, has led them down the wrong path. His face, once filled with the confidence of someone who knew he was in control, is now flushed with panic. He doesn't want to admit it, but the truth is undeniable. The technology he's so confident in is failing them. Sarah, watching this unfold, can feel the weight of the moment. It's always like this, isn't it? When everything seems to be falling apart, it's the quiet ones, the ones who aren't afraid to trust their experience, who step in and make a difference. She takes a breath, steadying herself. She knows what needs to be done. Without hesitation, she steps forward. James, too caught up in trying to fix what's broken, doesn't see her approach until she's already by the patient's side. "What are you doing?" he snaps, his voice sharp with frustration. "We need to follow the protocol. This is the future of medicine. It's just a minor setback." But Sarah doesn't listen to him. She doesn't have time for his stubbornness, and in this moment, there's no place for his pride. Her hands move swiftly, efficiently, as she reconfigures the equipment and makes the adjustments that James had missed. It's an old method, one she knows inside and out, one that has never failed her. She doesn't need the new systems, the fancy gadgets. She needs to trust her experience, her hands, and her knowledge of the human body. As she works, the room falls silent. Her colleagues watch in awe as she takes control of the situation. There's no second guessing, no hesitation, just pure professionalism. Every movement is confident, deliberate, and calculated. The patient's vitals begin to stabilize, the erratic beeping slowing as the systems begin to function as they should.
James stands back, his mouth open, unsure of what to do or say. He had been so certain that his new methods would be the key. But now, he's standing in the shadow of someone who, despite being dismissed as outdated, has just saved a life. His face is a mixture of disbelief and frustration, and for the first time, it's clear to everyone in the room, his methods have failed. But James isn't ready to admit defeat. His voice cracks as he continues to argue, despite the undeniable evidence in front of him. "This isn't over," he says, trying to convince himself more than anyone else. "We can still make it work. These innovations, they need time." Sarah doesn't respond. She's already moving on to the next steps, checking the patient's condition, ensuring that the stabilization holds. Her work is not about proving anyone wrong. It's about doing what's right for the patient. It's about saving lives. And that's all that matters to her. The team, who had previously been divided in their loyalty between Sarah and James, now quietly acknowledge the truth. They see the calm professionalism that Sarah brings to the table. Her quiet strength has carried the day, and no amount of technological failure or stubbornness can change that. But just as the tension begins to subside and the room starts to breathe again, the sound of helicopter blades slicing through the air reaches them. It's a sound that cuts through the chaos and commands attention. The team looks out the window, eyes wide with surprise, as a military helicopter lands outside the hospital. The door bursts open and armed officers file into the room, their uniforms crisp and their expressions serious. They are here for one thing: Sarah. Her call sign, unmistakable, echoes through the hallways, and as the officers approach, there is a brief, stunned silence. The quiet nurse they had dismissed moments ago is no ordinary healthcare worker. She's a highly trained professional, and the respect she commands extends far beyond the hospital walls. James stands frozen, unable to comprehend what's happening. His gaze shifts between Sarah and the military officers, his mind racing. The realization hits him with the force of a freight train. He has just been outclassed. The woman he underestimated, the one he treated as a relic of the past, is far more than he ever imagined. Sarah, on the other hand, remains calm. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't look for validation. She simply nods to the officers, acknowledging them with the quiet dignity that has always defined her. The respect she's earned in her own quiet way has just come full circle. And in this moment, her expertise is finally recognized for what it truly is. As the officers take her aside, the tension in the room is palpable. Sarah doesn't need to say a word. She's proven her worth, and the rest of the hospital now knows it. James, standing at the back of the room, watches in stunned silence as the military officers leave with Sarah, their presence a stark reminder of the power of experience and the consequences of ignoring it. In that moment, James realizes that no amount of new technology or youthful arrogance can replace the wisdom gained from years of hard work and dedication. The truth is undeniable. Sarah is the one who saved the day and the patient. The emergency room falls into an eerie silence as the military officers enter. Sarah stands at the center of the room, her calm presence a stark contrast to the chaos that had unfolded only moments before. Her colleagues watch in stunned silence, unable to comprehend the gravity of what is happening. The officers are here for Sarah, something none of them expected. The sound of their boots echoing against the floor is almost surreal, as if the reality of the situation hasn't quite sunk in. The officers approach her, their movements precise, their eyes scanning the room. Sarah doesn't flinch. She doesn't need to. She's been through situations like this before, and her calm demeanor speaks volumes. She simply nods as the officer in charge steps forward, offering a respectful salute. "Ma'am, we're here for you," he says, his voice filled with professional respect. It's a moment that freezes time. Sarah, the woman who has spent her career in the background, quietly saving lives,
is now the center of attention. The whispers that had been circulating around the hospital, the doubt, the mockery, none of it matters anymore. The officers, who had been dispatched to find her, now address her as someone who commands authority. The truth is unfolding in front of her colleagues, and there's no turning back. James stands a few feet away, his face pale and contorted with confusion. He watches as Sarah calmly speaks with the officers, his mind racing. What is happening? How could he have missed this? The woman he had dismissed, the one he thought was simply a nurse, is being treated like a hero, someone of importance. Michael, too, is frozen in disbelief. He had always been so sure of his own judgment. He had placed his faith in James, in the future of medicine, and dismissed Sarah as irrelevant. But now, as the military officers acknowledge her with the utmost respect, Michael realizes that he was wrong. His dismissal of Sarah wasn't just a mistake, it was a profound error in judgment. He feels a pang of guilt, but it's too late to change course. The truth is undeniable, and the truth is standing right in front of him. The officers turn to Sarah, and with a solemnity that echoes throughout the room, they reveal the reason for their visit. "You've been recognized for your service," the officer continues. "You've worked in some of the most dangerous and critical areas across the globe, saving countless lives. We're here because your skills are needed, your expertise is unparalleled, and we need you to join us." The room is silent. The air is thick with shock. Sarah's colleagues, who once overlooked her, now look at her with a mixture of awe and disbelief. She's not just the nurse they thought her to be. She's part of an elite medical team that has worked with the military, saving lives in some of the most dangerous corners of the world. Her experience is not just valuable, it's invaluable. James's face tightens as the officers continue, acknowledging Sarah's role in saving lives not just in the hospital, but in critical, high-stakes situations. His gaze shifts between Sarah and the officers, his mind struggling to process the revelation. The woman he had dismissed as just a nurse is someone far more significant than he could ever have imagined. His own arrogance, his blind belief in his own methods, has now been exposed as naive. Sarah doesn't seek recognition. She doesn't bask in the attention. She simply nods, acknowledging the officers with a quiet dignity that speaks volumes. She's been in the field, seen the worst of what the world can offer, and her calm, measured response now feels like a culmination of everything she's worked for. The respect she's earned in silence over the years is now being acknowledged in the most unexpected way. But as the officers prepare to leave, taking Sarah with them, the full weight of the moment sets in. The hospital staff watches, some with awe, others with shame. The woman they had dismissed, the one they underestimated, is now a hero, a person whose skills are recognized not just in the local community, but by those who operate at the highest levels of responsibility. James stands still, his body rigid, unable to fully process the shift in reality. He had placed all his faith in innovation and technology, dismissing Sarah as outdated. But now the truth is clear. It wasn't the new technology that saved lives. It was experience, intuition, and the quiet confidence of someone who has seen it all. Michael, too, is left reeling. The respect Sarah now commands, the accolades she receives from the military officers, shatters his previous assumptions. He feels a rush of embarrassment, but also a deep sense of regret. He realizes that in his eagerness to push for change, he failed to recognize the value of the people who had been holding the hospital together all along. As the military officers escort Sarah out of the room, the atmosphere in the hospital shifts. No one is speaking openly, but the silence is heavy with the weight of the realization that Sarah's true identity has been revealed. The woman they had belittled, the woman they had thought of as nothing more than just a nurse, is a hero in the truest sense of the word. Sarah doesn't look back as she leaves the room. She doesn't need to. Her work, her actions, have spoken louder than words ever could. And as she walks out, her colleagues are left to reflect on the lesson that will stay with them forever. Never judge someone by their title, and never underestimate the quiet strength of those who work behind the scenes. The fallout from the chaos in the hospital is swift and unforgiving. Michael and James are now under intense scrutiny. Their actions, driven by ego, pride, and stubbornness, have finally caught up with them. The consequences are unavoidable. The once secure positions they held are crumbling, as their reputations are shattered in the wake of Sarah's intervention and the revelation of her true identity. In the following days, the atmosphere in the hospital shifts. No longer are the halls filled with the buzz of new ideas and flashy promises. Instead, there's an air of discomfort, a quiet realization among the staff that they've been led astray. The foundation of trust has been broken, and now, the consequences of their misplaced loyalties are painfully clear. Michael, unable to escape the weight of his decisions, faces pressure from all sides. His support of James's methods, his dismissal of Sarah's experience, now seem like nothing more than misguided pride. The hospital board, once his allies, begin questioning his leadership. His decisions are under intense review, and it's clear that his time in charge is running out. He's no longer the authoritative figure he once was. Instead, he's a man on the defensive, scrambling to maintain control. James, too, finds himself in a precarious position. His ambition and his belief in progress have been exposed for what they are: dangerous blind spots. His push for innovation, for change without understanding, has cost him not just his standing with his colleagues, but his professional credibility. He had wanted to be a pioneer, but now he is nothing more than a cautionary tale. The hospital staff, once enamored with his new ideas, now view him with disdain. He is a man whose hubris led to disaster, and the sting of that failure is one he can't escape. And yet, in the midst of it all, Sarah remains silent. She watches as the chaos unfolds, but she doesn't participate in the drama. She never sought recognition for her actions. She didn't step forward to prove anyone wrong or to bask in the glory of her success. No, for Sarah, the reward was never in the accolades. It was in the knowledge that she had done what needed to be done. She had saved a life, and that was enough for her. But even though Sarah doesn't seek recognition, the world around her can't help but notice the truth. Her colleagues, once dismissive of her contributions, now realize who they had overlooked. They see the quiet professionalism that had always been there, the skill and expertise that had been dismissed in favor of trendy ideas and untested technologies. The respect that had been absent for so long is now flowing freely, and Sarah's colleagues begin to understand the gravity of their mistake. Sarah, however, is not here to take part in the spectacle of others' failures. She has done her part, and now she decides it's time to leave. The hospital, which had once been her home, no longer feels like a place where she belongs. She has already earned the recognition she deserves, the respect of her peers, the validation of her skills. None of that matters to her now. Her decision to leave is not about running away. It's about finding peace, about knowing that she has done all she can. As Sarah quietly walks through the halls for the last time, her colleagues watch her, a mix of awe and regret in their eyes. They know that she's leaving because she has outgrown this place, outgrown the politics and the egos that have caused so much damage. They've witnessed the power of her expertise, her humility, and her quiet strength. And now, they must live with the knowledge that they could have done better, that they should have recognized their value long before the truth came crashing down. Sarah's departure doesn't need to be dramatic. She doesn't make a scene. She simply walks away, her presence lingering in the memories of those who now understand what they had taken for granted. The hospital will continue without her, but it will never be the same. The respect she earned, though unspoken for so long, will leave an indelible mark on everyone who witnessed her heroism. Meanwhile, Michael and James are left to pick up the pieces of their broken careers. Their reputations, once untouchable, are now in ruins. They can no longer hide behind their titles or their lofty ideals. The truth has come to light, and it is as unyielding as it is unforgiving. As Sarah walks out the door, she does so with the quiet satisfaction of someone who knows she did what was right. The hospital may have lost her, but they will never forget her. The hospital is quieter now. The chaos, the tension, the scrambling to save face, it all seems to be fading into the background as Sarah prepares to leave.
Her time here, in this place that had once felt like home, is coming to an end. But there's no sadness in her step. Instead, there's a calm, a quiet satisfaction that she carries with her. A deep smile tugs at the corners of her lips. Not a smile of pride, but one of quiet triumph. Everyone around her is now aware of the truth, of what they had so carelessly ignored for far too long. They had dismissed her, doubted her, labeled her as just a nurse. But now they know. They know who she truly is, and the respect she has earned from the highest levels of military command speaks volumes. Her reputation, her expertise, her quiet strength, it all shines through now. Sarah didn't seek recognition, but it came to her anyway, and it is that recognition, not from the hospital board, but from the world, that matters most. Sarah walks through the halls, her colleagues now stepping aside to make way for her. They watch her with a newfound sense of respect, some with regret in their eyes, others with awe. In the brief moments they shared with her, they now understand the depth of her knowledge and the quiet power she wielded. They had all been so quick to follow the loudest voice in the room, to follow the new and shiny methods, but the truth was right in front of them the whole time. The irony isn't lost on Sarah. She's leaving, but in a way, she's already won. She doesn't need to stay in a place that doesn't understand her value. The quiet nurse they had once mocked had proven herself, not through words, but through actions. She had saved lives when others couldn't see the way. She had stood firm when the world around her faltered. Her methods, honed by years of experience, had done what the newest technology and the loudest voices couldn't. She had been right all along. As she passes by Michael and James, they both stand there, frozen in the realization of their own shortcomings.
Michael, once the head of the hospital, now understands the weight of the decisions he made, the way he had dismissed Sarah, and in doing so, nearly jeopardized the lives of his patients. He looks at her, his face etched with regret. But there's nothing left to say. His position is slipping away, his credibility shattered. His eyes meet hers for a brief moment, and in that glance, he knows she's the one who's truly in control now. James stands just a few feet away, his face pale, his body stiff. The arrogance that once filled him has drained away, leaving nothing but shame. He had thought he was the future of medicine, that his flashy methods and new age technology would save the day. But in the end, it was Sarah's experience, her quiet confidence, and her refusal to follow the herd that made the difference. He couldn't face her. He couldn't even look her in the eye. And yet, despite everything, Sarah doesn't need their apologies. She doesn't need their acknowledgement. The truth of what happened speaks for itself. Her actions, the lives she saved, the way she stood firm when everything around her fell apart, it was all the recognition she needed. The helicopter that arrived to take her away is still parked outside, a quiet symbol of the respect that she has earned. She didn't ask for this. She didn't seek it. But now, as she steps out of the hospital, she leaves behind a place that will never forget her. Her legacy will live on in the stories told by her colleagues, in the respect she now commands, and in the quiet reflection of everyone who ever doubted her. As she boards the helicopter, the blades begin to turn, lifting her up into the air. The hospital, once her battleground, fades away below her. Sarah looks out the window, a peaceful smile on her face, knowing that justice has been served. The quiet triumph of someone who had been overlooked for too long is now fully realized. She has proven that sometimes true strength isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It simply needs to be unwavering, to stand firm when the world is at its most chaotic. And in that moment, as the helicopter carries her into the horizon, it's clear. Sarah's story, the story of the quiet hero who had always known her worth, will never be forgotten.